sheer psychological terror unfolding in the Uptown district right now has me completely on edge. Poor Chelsea Hamilton is currently living through an absolute nightmare, and watching her spiral into a state of sheer panic is heartbreaking. The eerie, silent phone calls she is receiving from an unknown caller are sending chills down my spine. It is the exact 1 year anniversary of her horrific kidnapping by her deranged ex-girlfriend, Allison, and the timing is simply too perfect to be a coincidence. Chelsea is convinced that Allison is on the other end of the line, listening to her breathe. Kat Richardson, acting as the ultimate supportive cousin and business partner, tries her best to anchor Chelsea to reality. Kat rationally points out that Allison is locked away, possibly in a windowless room, and even if she somehow managed to escape, she would have to get through Kat first to reach Chelsea. But this makes me wonder, is rationality enough to combat severe trauma? They decide to quickly leave the area, snapping a picture as they go, but the paranoia is palpable. So, this leads me to my first major theory of the day. Is Allison actually the one making these calls? We know from Jacob Hawthorne's subsequent investigation at the police precinct that Allison is technically still incarcerated. Jacob calls the facility and confirms she is locked up, though he smartly acknowledges the reality of contraband cell phones in prison. But what if it isn't Allison at all? What if someone else is capitalizing on the anniversary of the kidnapping to wage psychological warfare against Chelsea? Could it be Haley Hamilton trying to distract Chelsea and keep her away from Bill's hospital room? Or perhaps it is a lingering threat from the Red Market plasma ring sending a message to Jacob through his sister-in-law? The possibilities are endless, and if Allison has indeed escaped, Chelsea's fate could be incredibly grim. She might be kidnapped again, or worse, forced into a deadly confrontation where she has to end Allison's life to save her own. Seeking a safe haven, Kat wisely brings Chelsea to Dr. Madison Montgomery. The moment Madison wraps her arms around her emotional fiancé, you can feel the profound relief. Madison is a grounding force, sitting with Chelsea and patiently listening to her fears. This tender interaction highlights the stark contrast between the pure, supportive love Chelsea shares with Madison and the toxic, manipulative relationships surrounding the rest of her family. However, even in Madison's comforting embrace, I cannot help but feel a lingering sense of dread. Will Chelsea ever truly be safe, or is she destined to be a pawn in the darker games of Fairmont Crest? Speaking of toxic relationships, the atmosphere over at the law office is absolutely poisonous. The vicious sniping between Danny Dupree and Haley Hamilton is a masterclass in passive-aggressive warfare. Haley and Danny are relentlessly taunting each other about whose marriage is closer to total collapse. Danny fiercely denies harboring any romantic feelings for her ex-husband Bill, but we all know she is lying through her teeth. Haley, ever the manipulator, accuses Danny of spreading the rumors about her alleged affair with Randy Parker. Danny fires back, insisting that her daughters only care about Bill's well-being and that absolutely no one cares about Haley. The sheer audacity of both women is staggering. But that is not all. Naomi Hawthorne walks right into the middle of this verbal bloodbath, bluntly informing them that their screaming match can be heard from outside. Haley, never missing a beat to be cruel, sarcastically asks Naomi to remind her pathetic mother that Bill is no longer her husband. As soon as Haley leaves the room, Danny urgently warns Naomi that Haley is plotting something sinister and that they must keep a close eye on Bill. The dramatic irony here is thick enough to cut with a knife. Danny is right about Haley's malevolent intentions, but she is completely blinded by her own unresolved, messy feelings for Bill. Meanwhile, Naomi is just trying to live her life, calling her husband Jacob to inform him of Bill's impending discharge and playfully planning a special birthday celebration in her birthday suit. Naomi's pursuit of happiness is a stark contrast to her mother's descent into obsessive madness. This brings us to the magnificent Dupree Manor, where Vernon and Anita are busy planning Naomi's birthday party. The conversation quickly shifts to Bill's pervasive, toxic influence over their family. When Danny arrives, showering her parents with kisses, she immediately begins spinning a web of lies. She claims she and Bill merely share a mature relationship and repeatedly emphasizes how lucky she is to have Andre Richards. But Vernon and Anita are no fools. They see right through their daughter's fragile facade. They interrogate her, expressing deep concern over her sudden, intense closeness with Bill. Danny tries to deflect by complaining about Haley cheating on Bill, but Vernon sharply points out that she has zero proof and questions why she even cares. Then, Anita delivers the ultimate reality check, reminding Danny that Bill was incredibly cruel to her in the past. He wasn't so friendly when he did that to you, was he? Anita asks, hitting the nail on the head. Bill is Danny's fatal flaw, her ultimate kryptonite. Danny keeps insisting that Andre is good for her and Bill is not, but her parents simply do not believe she has the strength to resist Bill's gravitational pull. My theory is that Danny is on a collision course with absolute disaster. She is going to sabotage her beautiful marriage to Andre because she is addicted to the chaotic, toxic high that Bill provides. I predict Andre will eventually discover the truth about their elevator hookup, leading to a devastating divorce that leaves Danny entirely isolated. Meanwhile, over at Garland Memorial Hospital, Bill is finally being discharged. Madison checks his vitals, and Bill expresses his genuine happiness that she is going to be his daughter-in-law. It is a rare, genuinely sweet moment for Bill. But the sweetness evaporates the second Haley struts into the room. As they begin kissing, Nurse Ashley Morgan marches in and delivers a stern, much-needed lecture about their inappropriate hospital behavior. Haley dismissively tells Ashley to loosen up, showing her complete disregard for anyone else's authority or comfort. As Ashley hands over the discharge papers, Haley smugly remarks that she will miss spicing up the nurse's days. As they pack up, Haley plays the role of the doting, concerned wife to perfection. She buttons Bill's shirt and makes a grand theatrical promise to do everything in her power to ensure he never has to return to the hospital. On the surface, it looks like devotion, but knowing Haley's true agenda, it is a chilling death threat wrapped in a smile. Ashley immediately calls Naomi to report the discharge, and Danny begs Naomi to pass along a message to Bill, saying she is so glad he is coming home. Danny simply cannot let go, and her desperation is becoming increasingly pathetic. Now, we must discuss the most terrifying, suspenseful sequence of the day. Bill is thrilled to finally be back in the comfort of his own home. Haley tells him to go change into something comfortable, teasingly unbuttoning his shirt and hinting at romantic rewards. But the moment Bill leaves the room, the mask drops. Haley pours a glass of wine and pulls out her vial of poison. She carefully drops the toxic liquid into his glass. She pauses, reevaluating her sinister plot, and then, in a moment of pure, cold-blooded malice, she adds several extra drops just to be sure. When Bill returns, Haley smoothly hands him the glass, assuring him that a little wine won't hurt. They toast to his health, a toast dripping with macabre irony. Bill drinks the entire glass, actually groaning in pleasure at the taste of the poisoned vintage. He wants to call his daughters, but Haley manipulates him into putting his phone away, claiming she doesn't want to hear them nag about her alleged affair. In a twisted moment of private gloating, she refers to Bill as her luxury Bentley and Randy as her cheap bicycle. They share a passionate kiss, completely uninterrupted until Naomi and Chelsea suddenly burst through the door. Haley rolls her eyes in sheer annoyance as Bill embraces his daughters, complaining that they should have called first. As Haley retreats to the kitchen to prepare dinner, she slips into a dark, vivid daydream. She imagines the extra drops of poison taking immediate effect, watching with glee as Bill clutches his chest, suffers a massive heart attack, and dies right there on the living room floor. But she snaps back to reality, realizing Bill is still standing, seemingly fine. So this makes me wonder, how long does Bill actually have left? Will the extra drops interact lethally with his newly implanted pacemaker? I strongly suspect that Bill is going to collapse within the next 48 hours. However, my theory is that the poison won't kill him instantly. Instead, it will induce a mysterious coma, leaving Haley trapped in an agonizing waiting game while Madison and the toxicology team slowly uncover the truth in his blood work. Haley is going to end up behind bars, screaming her lungs out. Finally, let us pivot to the surprisingly endearing, yet undeniably quirky romance between Leslie Thomas and Detective Marcel Malone. Leslie arrives at the police station to pick up Marcel, immediately clashing with Jacob Hawthorne in her classic abrasive style. She tells Marcel that torching their relationship would be a criminal offense. She frankly admits that while she has zero desire to live on a cramped, tiny boat, she desperately wants to maintain their bizarre, unconventional dynamic. Marcel, showing incredible backbone, tells her that he is a simple man with simple needs, and if she wants him back, she has to play by his rules. They retreat to Leslie's luxurious hotel room, where things get incredibly bold and steamy. They start kissing passionately, but Marcel suddenly stops. He demands that Leslie beg for it. He asserts his self-respect, telling her that if she truly wants him back, she has to prove it and show him genuine respect. In a shocking display of humility, Leslie actually complies. She sits on the bed, drops her arrogant facade, and sincerely apologizes for disrespecting him. She confesses that she has never met a man so willing to commit to her. She compares him to Alan, who merely tolerated her presence, whereas Marcel makes her feel genuinely cherished and desired. She admits she is terrified of losing that feeling. Marcel is deeply satisfied with her submission, telling her, "That's more like it," before pulling her into a passionate embrace on the bed. After their intense lovemaking session, they order room service, a hilarious combination of hot dogs and fries for him and shrimp for her. Marcel complains about his kids' meal portions and playfully steals one of her shrimp. Leslie looks at him with a wicked gleam in her eye and delivers the line of the day. "I don't know, boo. Your sausage looks really good. It is a moment of pure, suggestive soap opera gold." I cannot help but root for these two. They are both incredibly flawed, messy individuals, but somehow their toxic traits perfectly balance each other out. I theorize that Marcel might actually be the one to finally ground Leslie, turning her away from her destructive obsession with Ted and allowing her to find genuine, lasting happiness. This episode was a roller coaster of emotions, from paralyzing fear to lethal deception and quirky romance. The web of lies in Fairmont Crest is tightening, and I am waiting with bated breath to see who gets caught in the trap next. Will Chelsea face her kidnap? Will Danny's obsession destroy her? And will Haley's deadly cocktail finally take down the great Bill Hamilton? We will just have to keep watching to find out.